we'd come on and talk about organic transhumanism. It's not a phrase we've used before, but it comes from the words from the Zetas. In fact, they were the ones that wrote the blog post this week. And so we really wanted to break that information down and talk about it, because when I read it, it was a little bit, what is this all about? What are we talking about here? And so that's what we're going to do.
That's right.
That's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'll summarize and then we'll look into it. So in a nutshell, the message was about the organic enhancement of humanity, the development of our consciousness to enable us to have proper actual contact with extraterrestrial and interdimensional races.
That's right.
Yeah. So where do we start? Where do we start with that?
Well, I think that transhumanism is defined by the things that humans talk about technology. So enhancements through nanotech, AI, biological technologies, genetic engineering.
Yeah.
And all these things are recreations and add-ons to human DNA. But the singularity that Kurzweiler and others have spoken about is based around the two facets of transhumanism, one being all of the physical things, but also the secondary, or the other part, is the consciousness perspective. The Zetas have said from the very outset that they believe that in when the singularity occurs for humanity, for the human species, that what will take place will be a separation of the human species. So one specific part of the race will completely adhere to a genetic modification in regards to different types of technologies for the benefit of themselves, mankind, to be healthier, to live longer, in any way. Whether you can't argue that to be healthier is a bad thing. It's not. It's a good thing. So people need to work out, well, what does it mean to be technologically enabled for you as an individual? From the Zeta's perspective, especially at the aerial school phenomenon, they spoke about not being technology to the young people. And so when we think about that, we have to ask ourselves, well, why would an extraterrestrial race come to this planet and continually, through people, through discussion with people in like the aerial school phenomenon, talk about avoiding technology? What is so important about not using technology to enhance yourself?
Yeah, that's one of their constant and consistent messages, is that humans are more, you are more, and that we have everything that we need to grow and expand in consciousness within us already. They're very keen for humanity to not become dependent on technological enhancement in order to operate in higher dimensional frequencies, I guess, that we just don't need it. If
you think about it, though, if we take it from the other perspective, psychotropics, plant medicines, things like ayahuasca, where people are using substances to enhance their consciousness or their frequency to then have experiences based around consciousness. So we've got these complete two separate discarnate type processes, one being physical, one being non-materialism and consciousness. The truth is that you're from somewhere, you're here and you're going back, and you never needed any technology to enter into this three-dimensional space. And so if you could remember who you are, if you could remember your point of origin, what race you've come from, then what would take place is that you could then abide by the basic concepts of the race in regards to the technologies that exist within consciousness. You would then be able to do things that would probably be not understood by the human species. such things as bilocation, extension of consciousness, and in some respects, remote viewing actually buys into that level of consciousness as well. Astral traveling as well is also a function of consciousness. Building in synthetic quantum environments is also part of that process. All of these things are available to humans if they would only remember who they are and how to access this technology of consciousness.
And that brings us full circle back to disclosure and the extraterrestrial perspective of disclosure. And, you know, and when they say, you know, humans need to grow in consciousness before they're basically going to come and disclose themselves, extraterrestrials disclosing themselves, it, you know, their message makes sense, doesn't it?
It does. And I know everyday people want disclosure. Everybody wants disclosure. We all want to see the craft in the sky. But then we look at, if you were going to disclose about yourself as a race, what would be your underlying processes that you would go through to determine whether you would do that? You would look at whether the species was ready to be disclosed to. And maybe this is the real point to the conversation from them, that a race needs to mature consciously before real contact can take place. When we look at, once again, things on social media and the discussions that take place, there's no harmony, there's no agreement, there's no way that a race could disclose. Most of the population are not interested in disclosure either. And from a race perspective, they're probably going, this human race is not ready for disclosure, although what they seem to be ready for is change. And the change can be of a different type of model. The model could be things like, from a physical perspective, transhumanism, all of the technologies associated with making life different. Or from the other perspective in regards to consciousness, is the race ready for changes in regards to consciousness? Nobody can argue against the fact that things have changed in the last 24 months, that life has become much more interesting. And it seems though, at some perspective, that from a timeline perspective, that things have changed rather dramatically in regards to the energies that are around people, the phenomenon that people are seeing as well, the contact that people are experiencing, and the contact, but from various beings and various races, even spirits, has exponentially increased. So it's definitely an interesting blog that's been written. It's only a short one, but it's a short discussion about the evolution of the human species and transhumanism.